Wamoyo Teresia Washira, Maroreto sister for many years. I'm also the co-president of Pax Christi International, and we are a Catholic peace movement. I'm also a senior lecturer in St. Paul's University, in charge of the peace and conflict studies. As a lecturer, I do a lot of writing, presentation in conferences, locally and globally. We tend to think about how small arms come into the country, and I earlier talked about borders and how they come from one country to another, being brought by of course, China or US or Belgium or different countries like that. But actually, we forget the local, how these guns are, passed on from one place to another. So I would like to talk about the border. Which is a kind of public transport, because if you go to the grassroots, you discover that they have learned ways of actually carrying small arms and also using them. Like they can easily move and shoot somebody and move very fast. So that's an area we need to look at. So let's not just think big. We tend to think big about things instead of looking at these small, the small ways that these small arms are being carried out. Women actually exchange ammunition, ammunition for food or for medical, and sometimes they will, for men, they might exchange them for drinks, the brew. So it's very easy for ordinary people to actually perpetuate this kind of having small arms. So while we are talking about big nations bringing guns, let's also look at who is making them. During the post-election violence, for instance, small 5-year-olds and 3-year-olds were making the arrows, the bows and arrows. So I cannot verify that, but I wouldn't be surprised that they would be also shown how to make guns. I'm not saying that with finality, because I'm still to check, but I know they are the ones making the arrows and the bows, which are weapons, as far as I'm concerned, because they kill. We tend to look at men as the violent one and the women as the peaceful ones. And because of that, we don't bring the women at the table of negotiation, at the table of peace building. And by doing that, we're actually ignoring a key factor in the small arms. Because those bullets and ammunition, some of them are carried by women. They carry them sometimes in the milk feeding bottles. In the North Rift, they are usually made like gourds. So in that way, the women can become custodians and also transporters of these arms. So by ignoring women's voices and also by ignoring women in decision making, we're actually losing the war on small arms. So my question is, if half of the population, in fact even maybe more than half, are left out in peace building, negotiation, in mediation, then what are we saying? Yet the women are actually the first custodians of culture. If people are looking for cattle to marry, do they need a gun to get that cattle, or can the government do something, get employment for the young people so that they can buy those cattle instead of cattle rustling? So we can say, stop cattle rustling. How do you stop a culture, and how do you also stop them? The boys have to marry. A lot of those young people don't want to kill, but they are dissatisfied, they feel marginalized. So how do we deal with marginalization of young people? And obviously we can't wish them well when actually they have no jobs. They are being trained, like I have them in the university. We are training them. They are so excited to graduate, and graduating to what? Let the government And you hear the President Uhuru saying that let's engage our young people. Let's get them employment. So a lot of this for me is to do with the structures that we have. It's not like you can blame the young people for carrying a weapon, but what are we doing to remove what are we replacing with the weapon? How do you protect that woman whose husband has been killed or has gone to war? How do you protect them? Like a lot of those feel they are not Kenyans because they are not protected. So how does the government reach to the marginalized? So those are the questions you'd be asking, not there are so many small arms, what do we do about it? But for me, how do we change the structures and what do we do to kind of bring everybody at the table? In fact, the women, as I said, they don't feel that they are brought. It's the women who cry when their children die. But are we listening to that? When their children, there is no woman who wants to give a weapon to their child because they know by giving that weapon, the child may not come back. But what else do they have in replacement of that weapon? They want their children to marry. Who doesn't want to see their child marry? And marry well. You see, so for me, it raises very many issues of kind of how we think and how we look at life. Yeah. So to me, it's a mindset, basically, change of mindset. Yeah. And also sharing resources equally. So it's about resources. It's about how we look at other people, how we see other people. It's about how we understand church. It's about evangelization. We need to re-evangelize. Let's not use the same skills we used during colonial times about church. The church needs to re-evangelize, and that's why a lot of them are uncomfortable with Pope Francis. Quite a number of the top people are uncomfortable because what he's saying, it's music. It's something new to their ears. But we need to engage. We need to engage with his message.